a new band of rebels arose who were determined to carry the fight to Jerusalem.
The Sicarii.
To the Sicarii, anyone who wasn't fighting the Romans was a collaborator and worthy of death.
Many were slain every day, and the fear men were in was worse than the calamity itself.
Alright, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh, and I want to do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. It's a brother, Chief Priest Alizar Ben Loya, aka the Gorilla Hebrew, and I want to do this video being that yesterday was just Cinco de Mayo. I wish I could have did yesterday. I'm still a little under the weather now, but I was real sick yesterday. But yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, and of course, starting from May the 1st all the way to the end of May, it's Haitian Heritage Month. So I kind of wanted to tie both these things together because two significant victories that these countries had were against the Frenchmen. All right, so that's what our independence is about, 1804, as the Haitians, and of course the Mexicans, Cinco de Mayo is about the commemoration of the defeating of the at one time very powerful French army under Napoleon, etc., etc. So I want to kind of, do this video and tie it all in because we are all brothers, black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, as the children of Israel, dating back to the biblical Israelites of antiquity. All right, that's something that we need to acknowledge and come to grips with, and do the things in which that are required of that. But I just want to kind of go into this a little bit, into some of the significance and going into the history and some of these scriptures. There's an article that recently came out on NBC News. So I'm gonna read a little bit of it about by Raul Reyes about Cinco de Mayo. So here are 5 facts that will probably surprise you about Cinco de Mayo. It's not Mexico's Independence Day. Cinco de Mayo commemorates the triumph of the Mexican army at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. This victory occurred over 50 years after Mexico's Independence Day, which is celebrated on September 16th. The significance of Cinco de Mayo is that it represents Mexican resistance to foreign intervention. It is a moment where Mexico, as a young nation, rallied to defend itself. And that statement right there is one of the main statements that I like to key in on in this video. We see a young nation in Mexico rally against foreign intervention and defend itself. It was a great and excellent showing. A valiant showing. But here's the thing. They had these white people walking around in Aztlan, or these areas that used to be Mexico that they now call the United States. That's also foreign intervention. And now they're trying to ramp up their prejudicial practices towards the Mexican man in mass deportations and things of that nature. What are we going to do now? Are we going to rally now? It seems as if we're going to rally. And we need to keep that warrior spirit. And not just the Mexican man, all the 12 tribes of Israel, from the Negro on down to the Native and Mexican. All right. And this is the book of 1 Chronicles 7 and 5. Because the so-called Mexican, the Aztec man, the descendants of the indigenous peoples of Mexico, are the tribe of Issachar of the 12 tribes of Israel. So with that being said, it's 1 Chronicles 7 and 5. And their brethren among all the families of Issachar were valiant men of might. You see that? So even the Bible tells us that these people are valiant men of might. So it's no wonder that they so courageously stood up against the French and defeated them. But we have lost that spirit as a people, black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, for so long. And we need that spirit to be reborn and rekindled within us through the spirit and power of the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son. We need that. We need the same spirit that inspired the Mexican to get that triumph on Cinco de Mayo. The same one that caused them to get that triumph on September the 16th. The same will and determination to get that triumph as we did in Haiti in 1804. from starting that revolution 1791. The same spirit and flame kindled as that did in Nat Turner. You see what I'm saying? That's the spirit we need. Those are the old paths we need to look back to. This is Jeremiah 6:16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they say we will not walk therein. See, that's our people's problem. We're laying down being goddamn Uncle Toms. We do not want to walk in the ways of old, in our old paths. The old paths ultimately go back to the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us. But let's just take a look at our old revolutionary paths. Our old paths that did not take the type of treatment that we get now as a people. The type of slander, the type of murder, the type of crimes committed against us. We did not take or accept those things in times past. Now we just laying down and accepting them. We need to seek those old paths. We need to get back in a revolutionary mind state in truth. That's what we need as a people, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. So I'm going to continue. Associate Professor of History at the University of Houston, but that's Raul Ramos who made that statement I just read. But he said it was not a struggle for independence. Instead, it represented a struggle against imperialism. And this is what we are still struggling against to this day. Imperialism. Who put that border that separates San Diego from Tijuana, that separates Juarez from El Paso? Imperialist European conquerors, aka the white man, aka the devil that the Bible speaks of, the Edomite as they are biblically known. The wicked. That's who put that there. So we are still struggling against imperialism, and you have Donald Trump, who is intending to get into office and likely will get into office, quite frankly, who's trying to ramp that up and ramp up the oppression against the Black, Hispanic, and Native American. You have this devil Donald Trump who speaks for the silent majority, as people have made signs and wear t-shirts that he speaks for the silent majority, and he in fact does, because the majority of this country are white people. There are more white people in the United States of America than in any other country on the face of the planet Earth. So he does speak for them. The racist things that he's saying, the disregard for Black and Hispanic lives and rights and Native American lives and rights that he has, is the truest sentiment of the American person, of the American masses, which of course are Caucasians. It is high time that we realize that, and we seek our old paths and get in a revolutionary mind state and stop being so goddamn docile. Back then, when Latinos here got the news that the French were stopped at Puebla, it electrified the population and propelled them to a new level of civic participation. And when things like Haitian Heritage Month and Cinco de Mayo and these various Independence Days come up, that is the type of spirit that it should still emanate and electrify the descendants of these individuals that got these victories over this white man. It shouldn't be an excuse to go party and get drunk, as they have turned Cinco de Mayo into a goddamn Mexican St. Patrick's Day. That's not what should be going on. That's not the type of inspiration that this should give you. It should give you an inspiration to stand up for yourselves and for your people against this imperial conquest that the white man has perpetually been waging against Black and Latino, and will not stop. You understand what I'm saying? This devil's going to keep this up. He is taking your land of California and is telling you to get out of it. And the only way you can be allowed into it is on his terms. That's truly appalling. That is truly repulsive. But on another note, it's funny because the way this NBC News website is kind of like set up like a newspaper, like it's got a gang of articles on one page. Like I just opened this one up and it leads to more articles. So what's funny is, before, when I was prepping for this video, I accidentally scrolled down. And I seen this. This was just posted this morning at 7:27 in the morning. And it's called "Why These Latino Students Fought to Wear Dump Trump T-Shirts." And this occurred at Newport Harbor High School in Newport Beach, California. Me, when I was in 6th grade, my family moved to California. The first place we moved was literally less than a mile away from this high school, and I was in middle school at the time, where I was the only black kid in my entire grade. Not at my school, but in my grade, which was 6th grade. It was a K through 6 school. Down the street, just right down the street from there. There was a couple Mexicans, but not even that many Mexicans. It was mostly white kids there. Experienced great amount of racism, got in so many damn fights that we had to move. I lived there less than a year. We had to move. I raised so much goddamn hell at that school. They had to get me the hell up out of there. It got to the point where literally parents and teachers were having after school meetings about me. That's how bad it got. But it's funny because I done beat little racist white kids up on the campus of this school when I didn't even go there. But also, I remember one day I was riding my bike past this school, Newport Harbor High School, and I kind of like had cut this cracker off who was a student at that school, a so-called little white kid who was a high school student at that time. And I kind of like had cut him off, and I was riding my bike past. And I just remember him, you know, yelling at me, "Fucking nigger." You know what I'm saying? So I know this school, and I know this city and this area, and I know these crackers that live there, and I know the amount of racism that emanates in this area. All right, I just want to lay that foundation before I get into this article, because I could personally attest to, and it comes of no surprise to me, that our brothers of the Mexican persuasion, tribe of Issachar, are experiencing this level of racism at this school. So now, at a typical lunch hour at Newport Harbor High School in Newport Beach, California, Latino students say whites and Hispanics tend to sit on opposite sides of the room, and that's of no surprise. There is a natural spirit in us to stay separate from each other. We just have those sellouts of us that have drank the juice of the white man that he's been pumping out of alleged equality, pseudo-equality, pseudo-unity, that same thing that was being fed into the minds of the people going back to the Tower of Babel, which that's all the white man is trying to reconstruct, right? That one world order. Anyway, we separate, man. All right. I remember when I went, again, going back, when I lived in this area and I went to this school, I was separate from them little white kids. But what they would try to do was pull me in because they were so fascinated that a nigger from the hood now goes to their school. So they would try to pull me in and befriend me, invite me to their little events. And eventually what happened? A lot of kids started getting beat up and things of that nature. It got to the point where the goddamn police in the area were going and making threats to anybody, all these little white kids and their parents, in concerning me. I remember these damn police came in my house after I had knocked this little white boy out, came in my house talking to shit. My pops had to kick this cracker out of the damn house. After I was attacked, now I gotta tell my story, right? I'm gonna tell y'all what happened, right? It was a conflict between me and this little cracker, right? And what happened was we was getting into it at school. Over and over again. Then he had told me at the lunch table one day, my dad can buy your dad. So I had threw my lunch at him, you know, and everybody had kind of gotten between us, and so what I did was I waited until after school, because it was another little white kid, a couple little white kids who had told me where he stayed at, which was right around the corner from the school too. We all lived in a very close proximity. So I just sat in front of his house and waited for him to come home. When he rode up on his bike, I had took his bike, I had rolled it across the street, and I had knocked him out. Boom. What I didn't know was his mother was coming right behind him with his little brother in the car. So she chased me down in her car, nearly ran me over, hopped out her car. Then I started dipping. I was out. She chased me down, ripped my shirt, scratched me up. But as she's chasing me, she's screaming help, as to make herself look like she was a victim. She's telling everybody to help her when she's chasing and attacking me. I understand I just knocked her little son out, but we goddamn 12 years old. This is a problem between two kids. But she's chasing me down, screaming help, whilst clawing me. So people all around are seeing this. Crackers are seeing this and calling the cops. And saying that I am being an attacker and an aggressor against her. I eventually got free from her. Went down the street to this kid house. This other kid house I was cool with, and hid out there for a few hours. I called my pops. My pops came get me. Yeah, nigga, these police is up here. That's what my pops is telling me. So he take me home. Boom. When I get home, this cracker cop show up. I'm sitting in the chair. He's yelling all in my face. My dad's like, nigga, get the fuck out of my house. Because all these reports had been raised about the little new nigger that's in the neighborhood and all the hell I'm causing because I'm having all these conflicts with these white kids. Mostly because they're racist. So what happened was he tried to say, you're lucky. The cop, the devil, tried to say, you're lucky that they don't want to press charges against you. I said, motherfucker, I'll press charges against her. This grown ass, I knocked out a little kid, right? That's kid shit. This grown ass woman just put her hands all over me. I'll press charges against her. And these racist devils, this, again, it's funny because at school, what they tell you is that the school is responsible for you until you go home. So if a fight happens between two students of a school on their way home, that's a school matter. But after they've gone home, that's no longer a school matter. It's funny because both of us had already been home and back already. We both went home, and then, you know, whatever, you know, I guess he got his bike and was riding around. I just sat outside and waited for him. I had been home, but the school still stuck their nose into it and told me that I couldn't go to lunch for the rest of the entire year. Not him, but me. I couldn't go to lunch for the rest of the entire school year because of this incident. So again, I am full aware of the type of racial oppression that takes place in that area. The type of biasness, the type of mentality that these individuals have. I know people believe that this is California and it's just so liberal. That's a lie. I've lived on the West Coast my entire life, and I've experienced racism, even being mixed, my entire life. In Newport Beach, I've been called nigger so many times and had to beat up so many little white boys. And people wonder why. I knew the white man is the devil before I came into the truth. From living in places like Newport Beach, I was well aware. And I used to tell them that on these school campuses. At the school I went to in Newport Beach, I'd tell them, Black power, I hate the white man. I love my mother. I say I love my mother, she's white, but I still hate white people. I made that very clear at that time. And what those little white kids would do would hear everything I say and then go run back and tell the principals. So then I get called into the office and I get told everything I've been saying on the goddamn playground. So I'm well aware. But anyway, let's get into the story. My apologies. I just had to give my own personal testimony because of how close to home this particular story hits. But anyway, tensions at the school, which is 58% white and 36% Hispanic, have gotten worse with the rise of Donald Trump. And I mean, and even now, that's even better. Like, clearly the area has gotten progressively more Hispanic, because I doubt that it was 36% Hispanic when I went there. Say a group of Latino students who successfully fought to wear t-shirts expressing their views about the controversial Republican presidential candidate. Over the last few months, students who support Trump have worn Make America Great Again t-shirts and hats to school, making some Latino students feel uncomfortable. Words such as wetbacks and go back to Mexico have also been graffitied with chalk throughout campus in recent weeks. You see that? And if that's what they're reporting, imagine what type of other things are getting graffitied. When this is Mexico. Several students believed to be involved were called into the office this week, and Newport Mesa Unified District officials said it's unclear whether pro-Trump supporters are behind the graffiti, though Latino students point out that words such as Trump 2016 have also been graffitied. I think Trump has made people feel that it's okay for them to speak so badly about immigrants, said Susan Shinge, a 16-year-old student in Newport Harbor High School. Shinge said that last Friday, after hearing that a teen had been punched at an anti-Trump rally, she and 5 of her friends decided they needed to take a stance. They wore Dump Trump t-shirts to school as a way to stand up against the presumptive Republican presidential nominee and his remarks about Mexican immigrants. When he came out with his speech about how Mexico sends rapists and criminals, that hit home for me, says Shinge, whose mother immigrated from Mexico more than 20 years ago and does not have legal status. I felt like I needed to speak up. But the school did not approve of the Dump Trump t-shirts and asked students to remove them. You see how crazy that is? Everybody, all these cracker kids can be pro-Trump, but as soon as Latino kids want to take a stand for themselves again, inspired like their forefathers in Cinco de Mayo, and say dump Trump, and fuck Trump, now it's an issue. Now we can't express ourselves. I remember when I was in 9th grade, not even in 9th grade, I was just coming out of 8th grade going to summer school, but the summer school was at the high school. This was not, of course, this is in the San Diego area. I had been long out of Newport Beach, but one of the white faculty members tried to tell a brother, a student that was going to school, who he had a Compton hat on, to try to tell him that he couldn't wear a Compton hat. This is the type of racism, like, people will downplay and, oh, it's not that big of a deal, and that's so easy for you to say when even in the littlest ways you're oppressed. And you don't, if you don't experience getting oppressed in the littlest ways, it's very easy for you to speak loftily of oppression. But the scriptures tell us about that. This is Psalm 73:8. They are corrupt. They speak wickedly. Concerning oppression, they speak loftily. And that sums up these crackers from Donald Trump and everybody that he represents, the silent majority of the United States of America. One by one, the students were called to the front office where the school principal, Sean Bolton, told them they needed to remove their shirts for safety reasons. Why for safety reasons? Because who are the true violent people in the earth? The white man. Who are the people who had taken the ancestors of the people that we see pictured here, the original ancient Aztecs, murdered them, committed a genocide against them, enslaved them, stole their land, forced them to be Catholics, forced them to speak Spanish? Who did that? The same people that are supporting Donald Trump right now. That's who did it. The same people who took black people and put us on slave ships and brought us here and had us build up empires for them on free goddamn labor and then didn't give us a dime. Those same people. So that's why it's for safety reasons. Because these radical Second Amendment goddamn crackers who front as if they're liberal Californians will start to physically act out against the people that they are afraid of ruling over them. They are holding on with desperation to the little power and white supremacy that exists today because it's falling at a rapid pace. Donald Trump speaks for the desperate devil that wants to keep the hope of white supremacy alive. That's who he speaks for. But according to God, white supremacy will fall. This book of Revelations 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you. The white man is the devil. The Bible don't speak about no goddamn red guy with horns and a pitchfork. He speaks of a red neck. He speaks of somebody who stands in the goddamn sun too long and turns red. The Edomite. The devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. Why has the wrath of the devil been so great? Why do these white kids want to react violently to these Hispanic kids that simply have a differentiation in political opinion? Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He knows that these blacks and Latinos and Native Americans, whether he acknowledges it, whether he consciously knows it, in his subconscious and in his spirit, he understands that his time is short. That the time of glorifying himself and ruling on the earth is soon going to come to an end. He knows that. He knows that nature itself is physiologically working against him every day. He knows that he can do nothing but introduce destruction to the earth. He has no positive impact on the earth. He knows that. So anyway, the students objected and said they felt that they were being treated differently than Trump supporters, which they were. Why? Because they're not white, who had been allowed to wear their shirts on campus since the beginning of the school year. The principal told us how he was afraid of what was going to happen to us, but we told him he couldn't silence us like that, said Anthony Agama, one of the students who wore the anti-Trump shirt. We told him we have a right to wear them. Agama, who was born in California to a Mexican immigrant family, said he decided to join his friends in wearing the anti-Trump shirts because he disagrees with Trump's assertion that Mexicans coming to the U.S. are rapists, drug traffickers, and criminals. We're nothing like that, Salaki. We're nothing like what he describes us, said Agama. We're educated people. Half of my family back in Mexico is super educated. They're doctors, lawyers, and architects. My sister and cousins living here are going to college too. We're hard workers, not criminals. Angelina Alvarez, another student who wore the Dump Trump t-shirt, said Trump's remarks about Mexican immigrants are also personal for her. The 16-year-old said her grandmother came to the United States from Mexico seeking a better life, and her family members are not criminals. The students were eventually allowed to wear their anti-Trump shirts. Annette Franco, public relations officer for the Newport Mesa Unified School District, said the principal initially asked the Latino students to remove their shirts to prevent disturbances in class. Well, why didn't they do it to the Trump supporters? After asserting the situation and speaking to the students, she said the principal decided to allow the students to wear their shirts. Students are allowed to wear their political attire and talk about different issues, Franco insisted. But as soon as we learn that their safety is compromised, then that's when we step in and try to do what we can to make sure that we can ensure the safety of our students. Here's the thing, and the fact that they have such a concern for the safety of the Hispanic students who are anti-Trump, the fact that they do actually proves Trump's statements and sentiments towards Latinos wrong. They are not these violent criminals. If they were, they would be acting out against the Trump supporters and doing violence to them, and their safety would be compromised, and that would be the concern of the faculty of the Newport Mesa Unified School District. But it's actually the other way around. So who's the real criminal? If we take a look racially and ethnically at crimes committed by ethnicity, the last 500 years, a little over, let's say 6. Because 1492 was when they first got. So let's just take a look at the last 600 years of the white race. You have committed more racial crimes against other races, more crimes of war, more genocide, more atrocities, more abominations than any other group of people have in even twice that amount of time. Your history is that of violence. That of rape, that of robbery, that of murder, that of genocide, that of theft, theft of intellectual property, theft of culture, theft of resources and goods, and building empires with stolen land and free labor. But we're the criminals, right? Makes a lot of sense. The Latino students said they believed the school would have prevented them from wearing their Dump Trump shirts had they not refused to remove them. So it's not even so much about they were granted the permission to do it. They refused to be silenced. They refused to be disallowed from expressing themselves. They refused. And I commend those young Latino students for doing so. And you identify that white man as the devil who he is, if he hasn't showed it to you plain as day on the campus of Newport Harbor High School, as I would show as a 12-year-old boy on the campus of Newport Harbor High School for being called a fucking nigger for simply riding my goddamn bike. For being labeled as a goddamn menace when the little white kids I was in school with was reaping far more havoc than I was to the goddamn community. The white man is the devil, and the Latino man along with the black and Native American man are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of, God's chosen people. And white man, your time is going to come to an abrupt end according to biblical prophecy. Trust and believe you me. So they plan to wear their shirts again on Friday during a meeting with the principal, parents, and students who support Trump. The meeting was set up by the school as a way to ease tensions between students. It needs to be fair, said Alvarez. Fairness is something I doubt they will ever receive. Okay? With that, I want to again give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. Do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.